All right, my business besties, come on over to the couch with me for a second. Let's have a chat. Most small business advice is tailored to those who are scaling their business to the next level or who have grand aspirations. If you have ever scrolled through business advice online or listened to a business podcast and felt like you were the only person in the room who doesn't want a seven-figure business, you are not alone. Most people in the beginning stages of their solopreneur journey have much more down to earth goals at the beginning. That doesn't mean that you wouldn't want to scale in the future, but that's not where they are now. So they basically just want to make enough money. They want to have time left over. They want a business that doesn't keep them up at night. And I want to tell you that those goals are not small. They are not a consolation prize. They are a completely valid reason to build a business. And today I'm going to give you the four systems that will actually get you there. Welcome back to Simplifying Small Business from the Growth Table. I'm Karen Velez, a multi-passionate entrepreneur with over 25 years of building small businesses and helping others to do the same. The first 10 or so episodes of this podcast were really designed to be your on-ramp to business ownership and to give you the foundation of starting or reevaluating your business. And that was from defining your why all the way through growing your team and tracking your progress. Today, I'm doing something a little different. I want to zoom out a little bit and talk about the big picture, specifically about what it takes for a beginning business owner to feel steady and make a real income and not burn out in the first year. Because I think a lot of what's out there is aimed at a very specific kind of business owner, and that is not always the person that I am talking to. So when you're beginning, you don't need a complicated strategy. You need four solid systems working consistently in your business. If you get those right and you can build a business that makes you an income, fits your life, and doesn't feel like it's running you. And I am speaking from experience here as someone who built a business without these systems and without guardrails. And it turned into a monster that I felt like I couldn't control. And it was very difficult to rein it back in. I have been working with business owners, small business owners, for a very long time. And there is something that I think does not ever get said out loud, I guess. Not one person has ever come to me as a beginning client and told me that their goal was to have a seven-figure business. Not one across over 25 years. What they actually say sounds more like, I just want to make enough to pay my bills and maybe take a vacation once a year. Or I want to get out of debt, but still be home when my kids get off the school bus. Or I want to replace my part time income so I can stop working for someone that I don't like. I hear that one a lot. And, I want to do what I love. I want to follow this passion, but also have it actually be worth my time. That one is huge. That's where a lot of business owners start. Those are real goals. Those are the actual reasons that most people start a business. And yet, I think almost everything that you find online, from coaches to courses and content, it's just built for a different person. It's built for someone who is trying to scale or for someone who already has a working business and wants to grow it significantly. They might have a team, they probably have a funnel, or a whole product suite of things that they're using in this big old grand 5-year plan. That person exists. There are a lot of people like that exist, and they have plenty of resources. But if that's not where you are right now, if you are brand new, or you are still trying to get stable, or you haven't even started your business yet, following that advice can actually make things worse. Because when you try to implement a scaling strategy before you have the basics running smoothly in your business, then you're going to end up overwhelmed. You end up doing a lot of things kind of halfway. And then that leads you to feeling like you're already failing, when in reality, you're just following the wrong map. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with having modest, clear, specific goals. Wanting to make $3,000 a month consistently is a real goal. Wanting to replace an income stream so that you can spend more time with your family, or wanting a business that runs well enough that you can actually take a week off without everything falling apart. Yes, these are all very real goals. It doesn't mean that you won't grow beyond that. A lot of people do, but you have to get stable before you can get to scale. And stability is built on systems, okay? So I want to walk you through 4 specific systems that I think every beginning business owner needs to have in place. This obviously isn't going to be something that you are able to put in place on day one. This is a work in progress. This is something for you to work toward. They are not complicated or expensive, but they absolutely can be the difference between a business that feels solid and feels sustainable and one that feels like you are constantly scrambling. So the 4 systems that I'm talking about are a time and task management system, a simple and repeatable pricing method, a progress tracking system, and just a simple marketing routine. So I've covered those first 3 in some previous episodes. I'm just going to give you the highlights and point you to where you can go deeper on those. The fourth one, the marketing routine, we're going to build that out in a little bit more detail today because it's one that I haven't really covered in its entirety as its own dedicated system yet. And it is kind of the piece that ties everything together. So let's go through them one at a time. The first system is how you manage your time and tasks in your business. And I want to be very clear. This is not like a productivity hack of some sort. This is just a simple, consistent way to capture what needs to get done in your business, decide what actually matters this week, and protect your focus so that you're not just staying busy. So if I could describe this in one sentence, it is: your brain is for ideas, not storage. Anything that you are trying to keep in your head is stealing attention away from the work that you're actually trying to do. So this sort of has 5 parts to it. And the first thing is to capture everything in one place, one inbox, whatever that inbox is for you. It could be your notes app, it could be a notebook, it might be the corner of your whiteboard. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is the habit, some place where you can capture everything that comes in to your business in terms of tasks or projects. The next part is to clarify these things that are in this inbox into next actions. And these need to be specific, okay? Saying something like work on the website or taxes, right? Those aren't specific things. Those might be the overall project that you might need to work on, but it's not a specific task. So that specific task would be something like, update the about page on the website, or email the accountant for our quarterly estimated tax dates, or whatever. Those are tasks. Those are specific tasks. So we have to clarify that inbox into the next thing that we are supposed to take action on. Once we do that, then we just get organized with all of those tasks. And I do this for basically in 3 lists, right? You have your calendar. We count that as a list, right? Your calendar is for things that are time specific. You put them on your calendar, right? And then we have 2 lists: a short this week list and a not this week list. That not this week list is something where, okay, yeah, it's something that needs to be done, but it's not the priority this week. It's sort of a pressure release valve that your brain really needs, knowing that it's come out of the brain and it's on a list somewhere, and I don't have to focus on it at the moment. Okay. And then we just plan each day with the top 3 things, the top 3 tasks that would make you feel like you moved the business forward that day, even if nothing else goes right. If your entire day turns into an absolute dumpster fire, but you get those 3 things done, then you actually accomplished something. Okay. And then once a week, just do a 20 to 30-minute process to figure out what's left, what didn't get done, plan the next week. And this kind of keeps yourself from sliding back into constantly being in reactive mode. Okay. We're planning, we're being proactive, not reactive. And for the big ideas that maybe land in that inbox, but they really are truly something that you cannot work on right now or you shouldn't be working on right now. The things that you want to do someday, but you can't do yet, you need an idea vault. It's not a trash bin, it's a holding space. It proves that you're to your brain that you're not forgetting about that thing. You're just choosing the timing. You'll go back and you review those items in your idea vault periodically, and then you decide at that time whether it's appropriate to give them some attention right now, or maybe, okay, yeah, it's time to toss that one in the bin. We're not going to mess with that. So, this is a very simple step by step system that you can follow every single week and every single month to help manage the time and the tasks in your business. We went really deep into this on episodes 11 and 12. So, if you want the full breakdown with examples for both product and service based businesses, then go back and give those a listen. So the second system is pricing, and specifically having a consistent math based method for deciding what to charge, whether this is for products or for services. I cannot tell you how many small business owners who are guessing at their prices. They're looking at competitors. They're picking a number that's somewhere in the middle of what everybody else is charging. Or they're going off a gut feeling and they're just kind of hoping that it's enough. Or, and this one absolutely breaks my heart, they are underpricing because they're afraid that other people won't pay more for that product or for that service. And they feel like that's just kind of playing it safe. Underpricing is not safety. It does not get you safety. It gets you burnout because when your prices are too low, you're not just earning less. You're working more hours and you're taking on harder clients or you're trying to sell more product and you are cutting corners that you never wanted to cut. And then you wonder why the business feels exhausting. So you need to have a pricing system. And the one that I use starts with three numbers. The first is your floor price. That is the minimum that you can charge without losing money. This is your I'm not losing money, I'm not going backwards kind of number. The second one is your target price. This is your sustainable, very healthy price. This pays you fairly. It keeps the business alive. It allows you to reinvest back into the business. And then the third one is your stretch price. This is like a premium price. This is for anything that requires some more complexity or urgency, or these are maybe higher value clients or more high touch types of things. Okay. So to find your floor, you need three things. You have to understand what it costs you to deliver that product or service. You need to understand your overhead, and you take a portion of that overhead and apply it to the price. And you also need a minimum profit margin. So for service based businesses, this becomes kind of a real hourly rate based on what you actually need to earn and how many hours you can realistically bill. For product businesses, you're calculating per unit cost and you're using a markup that covers all of the costs that don't show up on the invoice. And I think the most important mindset shift here with pricing is flipping that question from what do I think people will pay to what does this need to cost for the business to be healthy? Those are two very different starting points. So we just talked about this last week, episode 17. So if you want the actual formulas with examples for both product and service based businesses, that is the one to go back to and listen. I highly recommend that you listen to it and you take notes while you listen to it because I give very specific formulas for how to figure out how to price your products or your services in your business. Stop it and rewind it if you need to rewind. Oh, I just aged myself. Stop it and go back in the episode if you need to so you can re listen to some of those parts and take the notes so you can figure out how to make this a system in your business so that every time you introduce a new product or a new service, you know with certainty that you are going to make money on that product or service and it's not going to make you go broke. Now, the third system is tracking. Okay. Knowing in very simple terms whether your business is on track, off track, or needs maybe a little small adjustment. And this isn't a bunch of like complicated spreadsheets or dashboards that make you look like you're running some Fortune 500 company. It's not that at all. And it never should be, at least at this stage of the game. Systems like that just cause us to put more work into something that should be very, very basic. And it's more of that busy work. We can get so caught up in that busy work, right? I'm so busy. I'm doing all these things. Yeah, but are the things that you're doing moving you forward? That goes with your systems too. So keep it simple. At this stage, you only need four numbers. You need to know your revenue. So, what came in this month? You need to know your expenses, what went out this month, and you need to know your profit, what is actually left over. And then you need to see or track one leading indicator, something that sort of predicts future revenue before it happens. These are the actions that we take that get us the results. So, for a service based business, this might be the number of consultations that you have booked out. For a product based business, it might be the number of website visits that have hit, or the number of people who have come through your market, or whatever it is, right? So do a 15-minute weekly check in. Pick the same day every single week when you will go back and you will look at those four numbers. Then you can make some notes about anything that seems sort of off, and you can ask yourself, is anything that I am doing this week moving the business forward, or am I just keeping busy? Being honest with that question really, really can put your business or your activities under a magnifying glass. And I'm not telling you to do something that I don't do myself. I do this 15-minute weekly check in, and you would be astonished at how just asking that simple question really clarifies things for you. You can look at everything that you worked on in the past week and go, yeah, 90% of that wasn't making me any money. And I get it, there's admin, right? There's obviously things that have to be done that aren't actually making you money. They are part of your business operations. And as a solopreneur, you are going to be very clear about what those things are, or at least you should be. And asking this question at the end of every week or the beginning of each week is really going to put that into perspective for you. Then, once a quarter, take 30 minutes to do just a slightly deeper review, right? You look at what worked, you look at what didn't work, and then you decide what it is that you want to adjust. We're not trying to gather more data here necessarily, but we want the right data, and we want to collect it on a consistent rhythm so that we can have a simple signal for when something needs to change. So this we built all out in episode 16. So go back and grab that one if you need to still build this system in your business. All right, now we get to the fourth system, and this is the one that ties everything together. All three of those first systems were sort of inward facing systems, right? These are things that are looking in on our business and the operations of our business, and they're helping us make these decisions. But the problem would be, okay, we get all these systems in place. You've got your pricing working correctly. You're tracking all your numbers. And now we're sitting here and we're waiting for customers to show up. And when they don't, we feel like the whole thing is broken. What we need is that fourth system, a steady outward facing system, right? Something where, you show up for your business the same way that you show up to do the actual work. And this is our marketing, right? And we're not talking about just like a marketing strategy. We're trying to build a routine. And there is a difference between a strategy and a routine. A strategy is something that you build and you optimize, and maybe you hire somebody else to do it for you or to manage it. A routine is something that you do yourself, and you do it at a very specific time, the same day every week before you do anything else. It's something that you schedule in, right? At this stage of your business, what you need is that routine. And the simple marketing routine is based on three components. And I want you to notice how basic these are because the simplicity is very, very intentional. The first component is one social media platform used consistently. Pick one place to show up, just one. This should be wherever your customers actually hang out. So, based on your demographic for your product or service, where are the people who want what you offer? That's your platform. Whether you are active on that platform or not, you might be somebody who is of the Instagram generation, and that is where you hang out. But most of your customers are actually hanging out on Facebook or on TikTok, right? You don't have to actively be participating on a personal level on that platform. You need to think of this from your business's standpoint, okay? So pick the platform where your people actually are, the people who want what it is that you offer, and then show up there 2 to 3 times a week. We don't have to put perfectly curated content out there. In fact, that's actually kind of not getting the attention these days. What you need is very useful or honest or very specific content that reflects what you know and who it is that you help, who your product or service is for. People have to see themselves in what it is that you're talking about. Now, in episode 8, we did that hard work of building your brand message, okay? Your one sentence message, your elevator pitch. That should be your content foundation. Every post or caption or video is just a variation of that message, but we're applying it to real life. So, whatever you do, whatever you sell, whatever your service or your product is, you should be able to talk about that in how it applies to real life and in a very helpful manner. This takes practice. It absolutely does. So, my current recommendation is to batch it when you can. Sit down once a week for like 45 minutes and write out your posts for the entire week. You can either set them to schedule if you're on an app that allows you to do that, or you can just save them as drafts and then set yourself a reminder to go in and actually post them. Stop letting it be a daily decision, because daily decisions create daily procrastination, because you sit there and you're like, oh, I have no idea what I'm going to post. I don't know what to talk about. So if you sit down and you batch this and you do it once a week, you're not sort of having to second guess yourself when it's time to actually put that post out there. Because if you start to procrastinate, then that's going to break our consistency. So pick a realistic schedule and stick to it like glue, okay? The second component is one, email habit. Your email list is the only marketing asset that you actually own. Your social media following belongs to the platform. Your email list belongs to you. And I am not telling you that you have to build your list to 1,000 subscribers. What I'm telling you is that 20 people on your email list who genuinely want to hear from you are worth way more than 2,000 followers who just scroll on past your content. So, the habit that I recommend for a beginning business is very simple: send one email per week. Or if that's too much right now, every other week is fine. But a consistent schedule that you can actually keep. What do you say? Something useful, something honest, something that helps the person on the other end of that email feel like hearing from you is worth their time. It doesn't have to be super long. Some of the most effective emails that I see in my inbox are like 3 paragraphs, okay? The goal of the email in this early stage of your business is for two things. Number one, you're trying to stay top of mind, and you're giving people a reason to trust you enough to buy from you. That's all you're doing. You're not trying to write something that, goes viral. You're trying to build a quiet, consistent relationship with a small group of people who want what you offer. And then the third component of this is one direct touch point per week. And this is probably the piece that most people skip because it's uncomfortable to a lot of people, especially in the beginning. And unfortunately, it is also the piece that fills up our calendar if you're a service provider when nothing else is working, or it actually gets you a sale. So once a week, one time a week, reach out to someone directly. We're not doing a post or something that's going out to everybody or sending, a mass email. It's one email to one specific person or one direct message to one specific person. So this could be a past client that you haven't talked to in a while. Just check in with them genuinely. It could be a warm lead that you had a conversation with, but you never followed up on, or a potential referral partner or someone in your network who's mentioned that they are looking for exactly what it is that you do. Word of mouth doesn't happen on its own. It happens when you stay in relationships with people who know your work and they trust you enough to send you business. So, one message per week. That's what we're doing. Okay. So, what does this routine look like in practice? We pull it all together. A simple marketing routine is just once per week, you're batching 2 or 3 social posts for the platform that you chose. Once per week or every other week, you are sending your email. And once per week, you are sending one direct personal message to someone in your network. Noticing a pattern there? That in total is about 2 to 3 hours per week if you are organized about it. That is your marketing system. It will not go viral. It is not going to build a following of thousands of people overnight, but it will keep you visible and it will keep you in relationship with the people who are most likely to hire you or send you referrals. And it's going to create the kind of consistent presence that turns into consistent income. Consistency beats intensity every single time in a small business and everywhere else, to be honest. Okay. The business owner who posts every day for 2 weeks and then disappears for a month is much less effective than the one who shows up twice a week, every week for a year, right? The one who sends a monthly newsletter on the first Tuesday of every month is more consistent and more trusted than the one who sends 5 emails when they have a product launching and then nothing for months. That routine creates trust, and trust creates customers. So, one more thing before we move on, I want to specifically name what this routine does not include. Okay. We are not posting on every single platform, we are not posting every single day, we are not running paid ads. We are not creating some complicated social media content calendar, and we are not building a bunch of complicated email funnels. Those things all have their place. I know you hear a lot about every single one of those things. That's there. That's not here. That's not yet. Right now, you are building a habit of showing up. The sophistication and the complication comes later, maybe, if we want it to, but only after the habit is solid. So let's bring this all together. If your goal is a business that makes you a steady income, fits into your life, and doesn't feel like it's running you, that is a completely valid goal. It's not a small goal either, it's a very clear goal. And clear goals are the ones that actually get reached. The 4 systems that will get you there are your time and task management, a simple pricing method, a progress tracking system, and a simple marketing routine. Okay, build those 4 things, maintain them consistently, and you will have a business that works. Now, normally this is the part of the episode where I invite you to come join us inside the Growth Table Small Business Collective, but I've got something a little different for you today. If you are just starting your business, either you've got the idea for the business or you've already taken the leap, but you don't know exactly where you should be leaping to, or you made the leap and now you've landed saying, now what? I've got something that you're going to want to see. I will be hosting the next Business Builder Bootcamp coming up on May 18th through the 22nd, 2026. Over those 5 days, you are going to go from I have an idea to my business is live and I'm talking to customers. And that is a very big move. You will get 1 hour of hands-on instruction from me every single day, and then you will complete that day's workbook that night, getting you ready for the next day. This is 5 days to create your first viable offer, decide on the pricing, get your basic online presence out there, create an outreach system so you can get your first customers in the pipeline, and a 30-day plan for how to continue that momentum. This is not a course where you watch videos and feel inspired and then go home and do absolutely nothing. This is 5 days of work, making real decisions, taking real action, and getting real results. You'll find the link with all of the information in the show notes, or you can go to growthtablesbc.com/bootcamp. I promise you, you are going to want to be there. Until next week, my friends, you've got this. I am rooting for you, and I'll see you next Wednesday.